My name is Nicholas Mukumbi, Member of Parliament for Solwezi West Constituency in Karumbira District and a member of this committee.
AG's office, you can proceed.
Good afternoon, Controlling Officer and your team. My name is Simsokwe Patrick, Director in charge of Ministerial Audits. I'm accompanied by Mr. Mtonga, Mr. Chitumbo, Mr. Siniani, Mr. Munyama, and Mr. Devi Mwipiko. Thank you.
Accountant General's office.
Good afternoon, PS and your team. My name is Elijah Manunga, sitting in for the Accountant General.
Thank you. Controller's office.
Good afternoon, PS. My name is Gift Muruwa, representing the Controller of Internal Audit.
Parliamentary Clerk, proceed.
Good afternoon, PS. My name is Chitalo Mlenga. I've been accompanied by Victoria Mwala, all from the Office of the Clerk.
Is there media? No media. Thank you, PS. Warren Chisha Mwambaz is my name. I'm Member of Parliament for Bwanamkubwa constituency from Ndola district of the Copper Belt, and I'm the chairperson of this committee. PS, I'll ask you to proceed and introduce your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. My name is Davis Chimfwembe. I'm the Acting Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Works and Supply in Dissolution. I will ask my team to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Dennis Waliakasonde. I'm the Director for Valuation and Property Management Department, formerly called Government Valuation Department. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Doreen Sepatonyana, Finance Director.
My name is Jack Chwele, Director Government Printing Department.
My name is Samuel Daka. I'm Principal Valuation and Property Management Officer.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Charles Lungu, Head of Procurement, Ministry of Works and Supply in Dissolution.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Phyllis Kachusha. I'm the Director HRI for Ministry of Works and Supply.
Thank you so much, PS. You can proceed, PS. Before you proceed to make your submission, let me confer you with immunity in accordance with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, which ensures that you have immunity even as you make submission before this committee. You are protected. However, the same law can work against you if you willingly intend to mislead this committee. That law is also read in line with Standing Order number 175, which ensures that you follow the deliberations as guided by the chairperson, who's myself. So you proceed to read the query as it appears in the Auditor General's report, the amount where applicable, and the mitigation measures you are taking as a ministry, even if you are in dissolution. Then now thereafter, honorable members will ask you questions. So PS, with that said, you can proceed and make your submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'll start with paragraph 18. start with the mandate of the Minister of Works and Supply. That's the principal functions are provided for in the Government Gazette, notice of number 836 of 2016, included government transport, evaluation of government property, government fleet management, government housing policy, government printing and gazetting, insurance of government property, office accommodation and maintenance services, preventive maintenance policy, and state functions. Audit findings. An examination of accounting and other related records reviewed the following: budget against actual revenue collections. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2021, revenue provisions in amount totaling 26,309,333 kwacha was made, against which amount totaling 23,443,693 kwacha were collected, resulting in a total under collection of 2,865,640 respectively. See table 1 below. The controlling officer's comments. Management acknowledges observations by the Auditor General as being correct. The following were the reasons for under collection for revenue streams. Real estate consultancy services. Real estate consultancy services, the budget collection estimate of 428,500 kwacha, or 428,500 kwacha were projected to be realized from the revenue from the actualization of statutory instrument on scale of fees of valuation services. However, the SI has not been actualized because it is dependent on the enactment of the Zambia Institute of Valuation Surveyors Bill, which is still being formulated. The second one, government transport management fees. The under collection for the stream is attributed to decreased uptake of the fleet management tools. I wish to further submit that the main source of revenue for the stream is the weekend pass book. In the period under review, there were restricted travel due to the invocation of the Public Health Act following the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country. Therefore, there was reduced demand for weekend pass books amongst MPSs, hence the under collection of revenue for the stream. Valuation fees. A total of 479,150 in valuation fees revenue was collected in the period under review. This was below the estimated amount expected. The under collection is attributed to the constrained economic environment due to COVID-19 pandemic. This resulted in reduced levels of valuation consultant services that were offered to the public. The next one is miscellaneous or other fees. The under collection is attributed to unrealistic targets for 2021. And these miscellaneous or other fees refers to survey, site plan fees, and those survey fees. Rent of government property. The under collection of revenue in provinces is attributed to the reason that the revenue was being collected and reported in the provinces and districts and not under control 64. Proceed from sale of government properties. The under collection of the stream is due to the decrease in the number of properties authorized for disposal. Under ESCO, the main source of revenue was the Kazungula crossing point. The commission of the Kazungula bridge led to the decommissioning of pontoon services at the crossing point. This led to the decrease in revenue collected for ESCO during the period under review. Flower sales. The COVID-19 guidelines restricted all social gatherings and functions in the country. Ultimately, the collection of revenue under the stream was adversely affected for the period under review. Office equipment maintenance services. The COVID-19 guidelines restricted staff movements to MPSs to maintain or repair office equipment. Secondly, MPSs whose office equipment were repaired did not pay for services rendered on time. We go to the next one on page 3, misuse of government vehicles. While it is true that there was an under collection, the implication of under collection is actually a reflection of effective management of government fleet, because there was adherence to regulations pertaining to the use of vehicles. We go to over-collections. The reason for over-collection: proceed from sale of government vehicles. Over-collection is attributed to over-subscription from various bidders that participated in the public auctions of sale of obsolete movable assets for government and mainly vehicles. Registration fees. The ministry collected 1,700 above target. The overcollection is attributed to unforeseen increase in purchase of movable assets by other government departments. And I think these movable assets refers to vehicles. Printing supplies. The overcollection of revenue is attributed to a circular granting government printer monopoly for printing all government jobs. Therefore, there was increased uptake of printing services by various government departments. The next one is damage to government property. The overcollection of revenue under the stream is attributed to increased compliance by MPSs regarding reporting of accidents for assessment. Accounting irregularities. Failure to collect revenue from rentals. During the period under review, tenants who occupied 53 government properties had unpaid rentals amounting to 983,400 kwacha. The rentals were outstanding for periods ranging from 5 months to 24 months, and no action had been taken by the ministry. See table 2 below. We go to the next page, page 4. Controlling officers' comments. The odd findings acknowledged. Lease agreements have now been approved by the Attorney General and have been administered at Sedip House, Kwacha House Annex, and tenants at Government Complex. Tenants signed to acknowledge receiving the lease agreements. The exercise is ongoing to cover the remaining tenants. The ministry could not collect revenue in Lusaka because the process to normalize lease agreements took longer than expected to the consultations which were taking place. The process prolonged further due to restricted movements under the COVID control measures, which inhibited valuation officers from inspecting and assessing properties for rent review purposes during the period of the audit. The figure cited by the Auditor General of 767,400 is a total estimate for all leases for Lusaka done by government valuation departments. Once the lease agreements are administered, this will ensure that all outstanding rental payments are collected. Further, the failure to collect the revenue in provinces is due to the reason that revenue was being collected and reported in the provinces and districts. The ministry wrote to all the provinces on how revenue collected was to be reported for accountability. Also is the letter from the Permanent Secretary Southern Province to all the district commissioners in the province guiding them on rental collection. So we can see this at Appendix 1, paragraph 18. Corrective measures. To address the above challenges, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Housing Development, as guided by its mandate under Gazette Notice number 11/23 of 2021, is undertaking enhancement of systems for property management countrywide. This involves valuation department has been reorganized to strengthen management of government properties, as the monitoring and supervision of rental collection. Standard lease agreement has been approved by Attorney General. The Valuation and Property Management Department will focus on administering the lease agreement. See Appendix 1A for approved list of, for approved copy of the lease. Measures against future recurrence. Creation of a database for rented government buildings and registration of lease agreements in the Lands and Deeds Registry at the Ministry of Lands. We go to the next one. Management of receivables, contract with Sandridge Associate Limited. On 16th August 2021, the Ministry of Works and Supply in dissolution awarded a contract to Sandridge Associate Limited for the provision of property management services at the new government complex at the total contract sum of 301,215 VAT exclusive for a period of 2 years. The property manager was responsible for the following: to demand and collect rentals due from the tenants and to have the same remitted directly to the Ministry of Works and Supply. Second, to collect service charges which were to be deposited in the service charge account maintained by the property manager, and payments from the same account shall be approved by the property manager. To settle water, refuse collection, security and sanitation and electricity bills in common areas. To maintain the value of the complex and its physical condition. Contrary to the terms of contract, the property manager had not collected amounts totaling 3,124,606 kwacha, broken down as follows: government institutions 2,848,495 kwacha, and private institutions 276,111 in service charges. The controlling officer's comments, the audit findings are acknowledged. The non-collection of service charges from the 16 government institutions occupying the offices of the government complex is due to failure to prioritize payments of service charges by ministries occupying offices at government complex. Corrective measures, written reminders were sent to all the defaulting government institutions at the time of audit, and the amount owing for service charges was 2,848,495. Out of the 16 institutions, 11 have paid as of 17th October 2022, amounting to 929,824 kwacha 63 ngwe, and the balance now stands at 1,918,670 kwacha 86 ngwe, of which 1,531,575 kwacha 36 ngwe is owed by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, 164,465 kwacha 86 ngwe is owed by the Ministry of Gender, 23,104 kwacha 36 ngwe is owed by the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development, 23,095 kwacha 85 ngwe is owed by the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Development, that's the Human Resource Department, 9,901 kwacha 35 ngwe is owed by the Ministry of Energy, 166,528 kwacha 80 ngwe is owed by the Ministry of Local Government Service Commission. See Appendix 2, paragraph 18. The 276,111 indicated to be service charges arrears by private institutions are actually rental arrears owed by private institutions. Zamnet was the only private institution owing rental arrears. Zamnet has since paid the amount owing and proof of payment is attached. See attachment from the property manager, schedule summary of rental and service charges payments, receipts of rental and service charges payments. Recommendation to avoid recurrence. Recommendations have been made to the Secretary of the Treasury to consider recovering the outstanding amount and paying future service charges at source. Find attached copies of reminders addressed to the ST to make deductions at source at Appendix 2A, paragraph 18. Attached is a copy of the letter of recommendation sent to the Secretary of the Cabinet. Sale of personal to order motor vehicles. Cabinet Circular number 6 of 2001 stipulates that officers allocated personal to order motor vehicles are permitted to buy their respective vehicles on retirement, death, or after the lifespan of the vehicle, which is 5 years, whichever comes first. However, as of 31st July 2022, the offer period of 90 days had elapsed, and the 23 officers who were offered to buy their personal to order motor vehicles during the period from January 2020 to December 2021 with a sale amount totaling 1,410,666 kwacha had not paid for the motor vehicles. Controlling officers' comments. The audit findings acknowledged by the management. I wish to submit that out of 1,410,666 ngwe cited involving 23 officers, 20 officers with amounts totaling 1,405,925 kwacha 27 ngwe was collected, leaving a balance of 9,984.33 kwacha involving 3 officers who are yet to pay. See Schedule 1 and Appendix 3, paragraph 18. Further, the failure to collect revenue is due to challenges faced by offerees, because most of them would be waiting for their retirement benefits for them to be able to pay. Failure to collect revenue from printing services. A review of financial and other records revealed that 6 institutions owed government printers amount totaling 542,140 for printing services. As at 30th June 2022, the amounts had not been settled. See Table 3 below. The controlling officer's comments, the audit findings are acknowledged. However, you may wish to know that at the time of audit, the initial amount outstanding was 4,141,328, out of which 3,599,188 kwacha was paid, leaving a balance of 548,140 kwacha. So far, the Ministry of Agriculture has paid 1,600, leaving a balance or reduced balance of 540,540. Reminder letters have been sent to owing institutions. See Appendix 4, Para 18. We go to item 5. Unaccounted for revenue collection in Mazabuka. Section 134, subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act, General Regulations number 1 of 2020 stipulates that an office holder who collects revenue is required to bring to account on a daily basis the total collection received. Contrary to the regulations, amount totaling 103,200 from rental of government properties was not accounted for, in that there was neither deposit slips nor cash on hand. Controlling officer's comments. The audit findings acknowledged. The buildings Southern Province are under the adjudication of the Permanent Secretary for Southern Province. The revenue collected from the province and districts was supposed to be deposited in Control 99. The audit query was brought to the attention of the Permanent Secretary of Southern Province, and I wish to state that the process to discipline the officer commenced. The Minister has since written to Southern Province Permanent Secretary to provide an update on the progress made so far. See Appendix 5, paragraph 18. We go to paragraph 33. Audit findings. Chairperson, maybe I can leave out the mandate because I mentioned this. Audit findings: an examination of accounting and other records maintained at the Ministry headquarters and selected districts for the period under review reviewed the following. Budget, funding and expenditure. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2021, a provision of 187,772,370 kwacha was made to cater for operations of the ministry, against which amount totaling 101,346,441 kwacha were released, resulting in underfunding of 86,425,929 kwacha. Although the ministry was underfunded as of 31st December 2021, amounts totaling 87,798,576 kwacha were spent, leaving a balance of 13,547,866 kwacha. The controlling officer's comments. The minister acknowledges the audit observation by Auditor General as correct. Causes. The government, through Treasury and the Finance Management Circular number 12 of 2021, guided that the ministry in dissolution shall not enter into a new contract. However, if there are any contracts to be entered in, we have to make sure that those contracts, you only consider those projects which could be executed by 31st of December 2021, not beyond that period. Other activities specific to the mandate of the Ministry of Works and Supply were not implemented at the time of dissolution, such as strategic planning, dissemination of policies, monitoring of some of the programs, etc. Management of information systems, failure to utilize equipment to produce electronic certificates of competence. On 23rd December 2020, the Ministry engaged Cloud Tech Zambia Limited to supply and deliver equipment to the control of government transport for use in the production of electronic certificates of competence at a sum of 197,363 kwacha, VAT inclusive, with a delivery period of 30 days. Although the supplier completed deliveries on 26 August 2021 and had been paid in full, As at 31st August 2022, the equipment was not in use. This is 1 year after delivery. The controlling officer's comments. The audit findings acknowledged, and I wish to submit as follows: that the machine has been installed and ready for printing. However, approval is still being awaited from Cabinet Office on the proposed upward adjustment of fees and also on the new design of the certificate of competence. See Appendix 1, paragraph 13.3. Number C, procurement matters. Purchase of building, office building. On 14th July 2021, the Ministry of Works and Supply entered into a contract with Messrs. Kasum Lata Yad Dav, vendor, for the purchase of stand number 5209, United Nations Avenue, Lusaka, former German Embassy, at a contract amount of $2.5 million. On 23rd July 2021, the vendor was paid the full contract sum of 53,250,000 kwacha, which is equivalent to $2.5 million, through the Ministry of Finance. The following were observed: failure to adhere to recommendation from Government Valuation Department. The property was identified after it was advertised in the press by Pam Golding in 2021 on behalf of the vendor. On 3rd May 2021, Pam Golding Properties valuation report considered the market value of the property at $2.5 million. A review of the government valuation report dated 20th April 2021 revealed that the offer price of $2.5 million was excessive, and the market value of the property was $1.5 million, which is 33,285,000 kwacha equivalent at that time. A further review of minutes of the negotiation meeting held on 12th July 2021 revealed that the property needed to be discounted at a cost of $954,350, as the roof needed to be repaired due to leakages. Page 10. However, the ministry procured the property at a purchase price of $2.5 million without considering the government valuation report or matters raised in the negotiations. The comments. The audit findings acknowledged and wish to submit as follows. The price at which the property was procured is the price which was recommended by the Ministry of Works and Supply Valuation Department in their valuation report dated 30th April 2021. In the said valuation report, the price of the property was assessed at $2.5 million. See Appendix 2, paragraph 33. The department also acknowledges and accepts that prior to the valuation report mentioned above, it did produce a desktop valuation report, a simulated report for discussion purposes, which the Auditor General has rightfully and correctly referred to. The desktop valuation report contained the price of $1.5 million, was a simulation report in 2021 based on property inspection data, which was collected 2 years back in 2019 when the property was last physically inspected. The department did not recommend this report for action and therefore asked for permission from the seller to re-inspect the property in 2021 so that an updated valuation assessment is done on the property. See Appendix 2A, paragraph 33. However, when the property was physically inspected on 28th April 2021, the inspection revealed that the property had been renovated and part of it refurbished. The department then revalued the property upwards to $2.5 million and advised the Ministry of Works and Supply through a valuation report dated 30th April 2021 to secure the property at $2.5 million. During the procurement process, the matter was adjourned to a subcommittee to negotiate the price downwards for a discount amounting to 954,350 kwacha because of the leaking roof. However, the seller of the property refused to negotiate downwards, stating that the $2.5 million offer price was on an as-is basis. The matter was referred back to the procurement committee for consideration and further action to purchase the property. Go to the next item. Failure to secure title deeds. Section 41, subsection 4 of the Public Finance Management Act, number 1 of 2018, stipulates that a controlling officer should ensure that all public properties under the controlling officer's charge are secured with title deeds. Contrary to the Act, the Ministry did not secure title deeds for the parcel of land on which the acquired property was located as of 31st August 2022. Comments. The audit findings acknowledged and wish to submit as follows. I wish to submit that payment of 834 kwacha has been made to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for processing of title deeds. This amount relates to the building on stand number Lusaka 5209 and the 4 forfeited properties. Follow-up have been made to the Ministry of Lands and certified true copies of which are CTCs of the respective survey diagrams have been prepared, and the titling process is at least preparation stage for all the 5 properties mentioned above for the change of ownership to the government of the Republic of Zambia. Find attached demand notices for the 5 properties, proof of payment from the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, and an internal memo for processing of the 834 kwacha at Appendix 3, paragraph 33. The next one, contract for the supply of assorted security paper. On 23rd July 2021, the Ministry engaged Calidec, Pty, More Than Paper, a South African-based company, to supply assorted security paper for the printing department at the contract sum of 2,148,677 rands, which is equivalent to 2,836,405 kwacha, inclusive of road freight and document charges, with a delivery period of 4 to 20 weeks from the date of the contract signing. The following were observed: questionable survey and selection of supplier. According to Regulation 8, subsection 1, and the second schedule of the Public Procurement Regulations 2011, all procurement of works and goods above 500,000 kwacha are subject to open bidding. Contrary to the regulations, the Ministry assigned 4 officers to source for quotation in South Africa as opposed to advertising the procurement. Consequently, the Ministry only evaluated 1 quotation and awarded the contract to Calidec at a competitive contract sum of 2,148,677 rands, which is 2,836,405 kwacha equivalent. The controlling officer's comments. The audit findings acknowledged and wish to submit as follows. Due to time constraint and cost of material, the Ministry had to directly deal with a supplier. Authority was granted by ZPPA to single source Calidec as provided for under the ZPPA Act of 2020, Section 46, subsection 2B. See Appendix 4, paragraph 33. Failure to deliver. Clause 16.1 of the special conditions of the contract required the payment to be made in installments of 25%, 65%, and 10% of the contract amount respectively. Contrary to the conditions, on 30th July 2021, government printers paid an amount of 2,836,405 kwacha, which was 100% of the contract sum. In addition, the supplier did not deliver items valued at 200,412 rands, which is equivalent to 200,000 kwacha, 412 kwacha, as at 31st August 2022, 12 months after the payment. See Table 1 below. Controlling officer's comments. The audit findings acknowledged and regret that there was a delay to reconcile delivery items until the matter was picked up by the auditors. A reconciliation was then done, and it was discovered that some items were indeed undersupplied. The supplier was engaged and has since agreed to supply the shortfall. The materials have arrived and are going through the clearance process at Zambia Revenue Authority. See paragraph or Appendix 5, paragraph 33 for details. The Ministry sought authority to pay 100% upfront to pay the supplier 100% as the materials were needed urgently, and the supplier had indicated that he was unable to supply before payment was made. See available documents at Appendix 6, paragraph 33. The next one, failure to provide performance security documents. Clause 18, Clause 18-1 of the General Conditions of Contract required that within 14 days of contract award, the supplier should provide a security for performance. Contrary to the above provision, the supplier did not provide performance securities for the contract. Controlling officer's comments, the audit findings acknowledged as no security performance bond was entered into with the supplier. This occurred because of time constraint and the nature of the transaction. Chair, I therefore apologize for this omission. And delivered professional toolkits. On 25th May 2021, Temwini General Dealers were paid an amount of 90,000 kwacha for the supply and delivery of 20 professional toolkits for use by technicians under the Department of Office Equipment and Maintenance Services, with a delivery period of 30 days. As at 31st August 2022, the 20 professional toolkit had not been delivered 15 months after the supply had been paid. The controlling officer's comments. The observation by the auditor is correct. It is regrettable that the supplier was paid before delivery of the goods. The delay to deliver the two kits is mainly due to the outbreak of the COVID-19, which led to the break in production in China because there was they had closed the plant. However, progress has been attained as the two kits have since been supplied. See Appendix 7, paragraph 33. Cause the supplier claimed that the company where the two kits were ordered had closed due to the COVID-19 restrictions in China, and also there were changes in the price. We go to the next item, management of forfeited assets, failure to issue takeover certificates for forfeited properties. On 18th December 2019, authority was granted to the Ministry of Works and Supply in accordance with Section 46, subsection 2A of the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018 by the Secretary to the Treasury to transfer forfeited properties comprising of 4 real estates and 19 motor vehicles that were forfeited to the state through the Anti-Corruption Commission. Page 14. However, as of 31st August 2022, the Ministry had not registered the motor vehicles and the properties under the government. See Table 2 below. In addition, 19 motor vehicles were still marooned at the Ministry over 20 months after being handed over to the Ministry. The controlling officer's comments. The audit findings are acknowledged. The 19 forfeited motor vehicles were given JRZ numbers and are entered in the database in the motor vehicle fleet management system. The change of ownership was completed by RATSA. I further wish to state that the forfeited motor vehicles were not all roadworthy. Therefore, a total of 6 vehicles that are roadworthy have since been distributed to ministries as per schedule attached and are in use. While the balance of 13 vehicles, most of these are non-runners, allocated to ministries have not been collected because beneficiaries are still sourcing funds to repair the motor vehicles. See Appendix 8, paragraph 33. Table 2 below is a list of forfeited properties and status. The controlling officer's comments. Takeover certificates for the 4 properties. Lusaka 13947, Lusaka 13949, Lusaka 7791, and Lusaka 3775 were assigned by the Anti-Corruption Commission for the handover takeover of the subject properties to the government of the Republic of Zambia. Furthermore, based on the demand notices, 837 kwacha has been paid to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for processing of title deeds. This amount relates to include building on stand Lusaka 5209 and the 4 forfeited properties. Follow-ups have been made to the Ministry of Land and certified true copies of the respective survey diagrams have been prepared, and the titling process is at least preparation stage for the 5 properties for change of ownership to the government of the Republic of Zambia. Find attached demand notices for 5 properties, proof of payment from the Ministry of Lands, also the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, and an internal memo for processing of the 834 kwacha. Refer to Appendix 3, paragraph 33. The 4 properties were allocated to government institutions as follows: 1394, Lusaka 1394-7, Public Protector; Lusaka 13949, Hostels Board; Lusaka 7791, State House, Office of the First Lady; Lusaka 3775, the Lands Tribunal. I submit, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, PS, Acting PS, for your submission. Honorable members, that's a submission from PS from the 2 heads. We can proceed and ask questions to that effect. Honorable Lumai.
Thank you, Chair. And PS, my name's Victor Lumai.
Honorable Lumai, just be guided that we are on head 64, paragraph 18.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Can proceed.
Yeah, PS, my name's Victor Lumai. I'm the MP for the good people of Chavuma in the Northwestern Province, member of this good committee. Chair, looking at the Ministry of Works and Supply in dissolution, and Chair, the query under review, under collection, instead of collecting 1.875 million, the ministry only collected 35,000. And you have told this committee that the reason is because payments are now being done in the provinces. And also you have a query on flower sales, office equipment and maintenance. You have given us the reason of COVID-19. So, Chair, what I want to understand from the PS, what was difficult for you to collect this information, rent of government properties in the provinces, in the districts, to ascertain how much money has been collected and give that information to Auditor General? Because, Chair, from 1.8 million to 35,000 kwacha, the difference is just too huge. So I just want to understand what was difficult for you to collect this revenue or information to give it to auditors. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you. Any other question? Acting PS, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. I wish to submit that actually we had written to all the provinces, and if you look at the letters that we had submitted to request for them to be reporting under, to guide them to report under Control 64, but we were not getting a feedback from them. I think you see that the ministry wrote to all the, I think under Appendix 1, paragraph 18, we have all the letters which were addressed to the different provincial permanent secretaries.
Yes, just a minute. Honorable Mai, you've got...
just a mic. Yeah, Chair, yesterday night when I was going through this document, actually, I noticed that they did not indicate Appendix what. It's just empty. They're just papers. So even when you're saying Appendix 1, Appendix 2, I'm already at the Atlantic Ocean, not knowing what the controlling officer is trying to submit, because they're just empty papers which you attached. You did not indicate number 1, number 2. So I don't know if the other honorable members have seen.
Thank you. We've seen, but just read inside. I think it's indicated inside. Yeah, on the folio. Yeah. Yes, PS, you can proceed. I hope honorable members will be able to find the aforesaid appendices. You can proceed.
We apologize for that omission. I was just submitting that if you look at appendix the appendix 1 on paragraph 18, where we actually provided copies of the letters we had written to the government, the provinces, to guide them on how they are supposed to report for revenue. And also, if you look at the other one, which was written last year in September, where we are requesting them submission of the consolidated non-tax revenue returns for the year ended December 2020. And then we continued reminding them that we needed them to be reporting to us. But I think it was very difficult for us to get cooperation because most of them continued not reporting under Control 64.
Thank you, Honorable Amnima, then Honorable Omai. We can proceed.
Chair, I just want to find out, controlling officer, has the state of collection changed from time of audit? What is the status now?
Thank you, PS. You can switch off the mic for now. You can proceed.
Chairperson, the controlling officer is submitting that he had written to the provinces. I can see letters on 5th November 2021, and we are now in 2022, Chair. And from his submission, it appears maybe even these appendices attached, Chair, maybe are for formality, I don't know, because you are a PS. The provinces cannot refuse to give you returns to say this is what we have collected or this is what has been deposited in Control 99. And as I stated, the Chair, a difference of 1.8 million is too huge. Collecting 35,000 kwacha when we have got a lot of government properties dotted around the country. So, and the submission of saying we wrote them and we are not getting responses, and yet we have a query here, and this ministry is in dissolution, Chair. So we are now worried where we are heading to.
PS, you can proceed and answer the two questions. Thank you.
Yes, I think we. I know that we had written to them, and I think we requested them to report, because normally the codes that we had given them, when they are collecting revenue, they are supposed to actually use those codes so that the money is actually received as part of the Ministry of Works and Supply collections. But I think we have had challenges to that effect. And I think this is, we also provided a letter for Southern Province where district commissioners were directed to be collecting the money just as additional information. So this has been a problem for some time, but however, all hope is not lost, because what we are trying to do now, I think as we mentioned, is that we are trying to strengthen the system, of course through Ministry of Infrastructure, because our ministry has been dissolved, but there are measures which are being put in by Evaluation Department through Ministry of Infrastructure to make sure that we do collect we have a database for all the rented properties countrywide, and do the evaluation to be able to know the rentals for each building, and be able to monitor and follow up and remind those who are failing to pay. So we are building in a system, and I think that's why, if you may recall, that we had even developed an asset management policy. And if you look at the strategies that we had put in here, is to make sure that we bring sanity in terms of management of government property, because we've had challenges for some time. Therefore, this policy, if implemented, it addresses most of the issues that we are talking about in terms of having an asset register for all the government properties countrywide. Out of that total sum, we have a subset of those that are being rented, and we make sure we know each and every person renting, the amount we are paying, and monitor and ensure that everyone pays. But I think that system is what is being built now.
Thank you. Honorable Lomai, on the same or the next item, you can proceed.
Chair, because on B, the question is similar to the question under discussion. This is failure to collect revenue from rentals, and the question the matter we are discussing is on rentals. And Chair, on the submission by the controlling officer, he's saying the exercise is only going to cover the remaining rentals. The ministry could not collect revenue in Lusaka because the process to normalize lease agreements took longer than expected due to consultations which were taking place. The process prolonged further due to restricted movement under COVID-19. Now, Chairperson, PS, COVID-19 becomes a problem for you to prepare lease agreements, and up to now, I'm sure you have not yet yet finished to do with those lease agreements. So, Chair, I find it very difficult now to accept maybe the submissions by the PS, because on the other hand, you are talking of district commissioners, and in the provinces, they are not submitting to you. And on the other hand here, you are saying lease agreements, maybe they took over a year, isn't it? Lease agreements took over a year. Now you are mentioning COVID-19 as a reason not to finalize lease agreements. Now, Chair, what if a tenant dies in the absence of lease agreements? Where are you going to claim that money from? Chair, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Amniwa.
Chair, I asked a question. What is the status? And you mentioned about district commissioners. Which law in this country empowers district commissioners to collect revenue?
Thank you. PS, you can proceed with those two questions.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think the reason why I brought in the letter from Southern Province, I was just trying to show that that was the practice that was there. You know, I was trying to clear or maybe provide the information that districts and provinces were collecting rentals. Not necessarily that I said it was a correct thing. I was just saying, well, you see the practice which was there when we wrote to them that they needed to account for revenue under the Ministry of Works and Supply. There are different practices. So I was pointing to that evidence so that you see that the challenges we had were sometimes difficult to deal with there and then. So that's why I brought in that. It was just an example to show honorable members that there were different practices going on. But however, we are trying to put sanity to these through valuation department. And the leases have actually been approved by the Attorney General, and I think they are being administered. The leases are being administered. And we provided a copy of the lease on Appendix 1A. Appendix 1A para 18, you see a copy of the lease, the ones that have been administered now. So we are going in to try and ensure that we bring in sanity, and we ensure we do these things systematically so that we have a proper system for managing rented property, not only rented properties, but even other properties as well.
Honorable Ferrari. Vice Chair, was that your hand?
Well, you can allow the
Okay, the Vice Chair can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. PS, my question is, since you are now preparing to cease the operations as a Ministry of Works and Supply, what measures have you put in place to ensure that the uncollected revenue continues to be followed up? And are your records up to date? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Ferrari, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Controlling Officer, I will just ask on the failure to collect revenues, non-tax revenues. On page 2, some of the reasons that you are giving, Controlling Officer, that let's say miscellaneous other fees, the under collections are related to unrealistic targets for 2021. Then rent of government properties, the under collection revenue in the province admitted that revenue was being collected and reported in the previous, okay, this one you were trying to explain. But proceeds from government property, the under collection for the stream is due to decrease in the number of properties authorized for this. Now, my question on all these reasons you are giving. Let's say, for example, miscellaneous. You are saying the target was unrealistic. So, but who was planning? Was it not you as a ministry? You are planning that this is the target that we want to achieve. The other one where you are saying proceeds from sale of government property reduced. I thought under that year, under the year under review, you had also planned to say the property that we are trying to target will be this number. And this is what we have. But the responses that are in here are actually coming, they are coming out like someone who was not part of the whole ministry, was not actually involved. Because if the targets were outrageous, it's you who put the targets as a ministry to say this is our target. Now for you to come and tell us, say, it was not realistic. Who should have made it realistic? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed and answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Measures put in place since we are dissolving. The Department of Valuation has been realigned to the Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure, to the Ministry of Infrastructure and Urban Development. So the system that we had in Ministry of Works and Supply, including the implementation of the asset management policy that we developed, all these systems have gone with a department that was with the Ministry of Works and Supply, but now in infrastructure. And now they will continue with the implementation of the measures that we had started. And I alluded to the fact that we are supposed to do a database for rented properties, an asset register for all the properties that government owns, and then be able to put in place information that will show us the values for properties being rented. So that kind of a system will continue, because the department that was responsible under Works and Supply has gone with the systems to Ministry of Infrastructure. So we expect that that will continue. The records up to date, maybe for the records up to date, maybe I will ask the Director of Evaluation, if the Chair permits, to give an update on that. Are the records up to date?
So the Director of Evaluation can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, sir. Yes, indeed, the Department of Valuation and Property Management has started compiling data of rented properties. The simple reason is that that data has not been there. The role which Valuation Department has been playing in the rental collection has been to assess the rentals. It has not been our responsibility to collect the rentals. The only role that we've been playing, when an MPSA approaches us to say they've got a property which they wish to put on rent, we've assessed the rental amount per month, submitted to the MPSA, and the MPSA is the one at district or provincial level. They are the ones who have been collecting those rentals. So as a department, we don't have official data that we can submit to this Honorable House to say this is how much they've been collecting and this is what they've been doing with the amount of money that they've been collecting from rent. So our responsibility, yes, but so far the only records we have are for those MPSAs who have approached us to say we have this property, can you please assess it for rent? That data is there, but it is inconclusive. And the process is ongoing. I can report now that we've done parts of Copper Belt, we've done parts of Northwestern Province, we've also done parts of Southern Province and parts of Eastern Province. So once this data is fully compiled and complete and documented, we will then come up with measures so that we can be following up to see who is paying and who is not. But otherwise, that responsibility for collection of rentals does not sit with this department. Right now, it sits with MPSAs. And it's likely to continue. The reason being, as a department here in Lusaka, it may be, if you look at the cost-benefit analysis, it may be costly for our officers in Lusaka to be going around every month, the districts and provinces, to monitor who has paid and who has not paid. Some of these properties which are on rent, maybe just 1,000 kwacha per month or 2,000 kwacha depending on the size of the building. So if you constitute a team, even one officer and a driver, to go around the country every month, the cost of that driver and the officer and the fuel going to collect that 1,000 kwacha will be far much higher than the rental that will be collected. So this mandate is likely to remain at MPSA level. So that's the position as at now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director. You can switch off the mic, PS. You can finish the other questions.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. As the status of collection changed, I think our ministry was dissolved in December 2021 and we stopped handling revenue. So the only ministry that should be able to provide the status is the Ministry of Infrastructure, because they are the ones who are responsible for collecting revenue from January to date. And in terms of looking at has there been an improvement or not. Then on targets, are the targets, why were the targets unrealistic since we are the ones who are planning? Because I think sometimes when targets are being, or planning is being done, there are a number of assumptions which are actually looked at, and some of those assumptions may not hold during the time or the period for which you are planning. And in this situation, we found ourselves in that situation when we had some of these targets that we set, because the numbers that we had projected and the actual situation was not the same, because the assumption we are not holding. Like for instance, we're talking about COVID-19, because we had expected that the officers would be able to move and provide services, but that was the assumption. If they were to move, value these properties, and be able to, I know the values, then we'll be able to charge those amounts and so forth. But if officers did not move during that period, or the targets that we, or the assumption that we put before setting the targets did not hold, then I think the targets became unrealistic, and I think we had to look at them, and so that in the next planning period, when we are setting targets, we should actually reflect and think about some of the assumptions, so that we address the issues.
Thank you, PS. We proceed. Maybe PS, before we proceed, there are a lot of issues under non-tax revenue. Issue of outstanding, the same uncollected revenue, the sale of motor vehicles where I think some money is outstanding, and also sale of government property, non-payment of these management services, and you've outlined the ministries which are owing, issues of unaccountable revenue from Mazabuka. Since you're a ministry in dissolution, I'm just trying to sum up on some of the questions which the honorable members have asked. You are in dissolution. How do you intend to ensure that all these outstanding issues are mitigated and you close on a very clean slate on all these issues as a ministry in dissolution? You can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think the provision is that for most of these issues, they have departments where they are sitting. If you look at transport, is under transport and of government fleet management. Most of the issues that pertain to government fleet management, they are under control of government transport, and the unit is there, but they have moved to Ministry of Transport and Logistics, and most of these issues will have to be followed up to ensure that whatever issues, those three officers who have not paid, they are followed up. And I think we like we said, we had an interaction with these 3 officers, and they promised that they are going to pay. The issues of other issues that are surrounding Mazabuka, all these issues, I think they sit in the finance department. The director of finance has to hand over those issues to since it's rentals, where government valuation rentals, who have to be rated to government valuation department, because they're the ones who are in charge of property management. So those issues will have to be followed up by our sister ministry of infrastructure. And then you look at the other outstanding issues. So we have each and every issue to be handled by a department that has been realigned from Ministry of Works and Supply to either Transport and Logistics or to the Ministry of Infrastructure. And those issues, since they are sitting there, departments, they will be able to follow up. I think at the end of the day, when we are doing our report, at winding up, all those issues will have to be indicated and ensure that they are followed up by those respective departments and in the ministries where they are sitting.
We proceed. Next, let's look at paragraph 33. And I think the most thorny issue on this one, honorable members, is a purchase of office building. I want us to first address that one. Page 9. You can proceed on that item, the purchase of office building. PS, the ministry decided to purchase this building, the former German embassy. And I think when you're buying something, there's a motivation that either you want to put it in use just there and then, but still this building is not occupied. What was the motivation to buy this building at $2.5 million and yet not occupied? You can proceed.
Maybe Chairperson can allow me to refer that question to the Director of Public Government Valuation, because I think at the time those issues were happening, I think he may be able to allude to the issue of motivation.
Director of Government Valuation, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, sir. The motivation to purchase the property arose from several factors. Just a minute. Allow me to refer to a document I came with. We should have made it as an attachment if the question arose in the audit. So for that property, when we purchased it, Mr. Chairperson, sir, there were 6 other properties that we looked at. This was after we received a request from the judiciary that they wanted office space. I can't recall exactly what the category of the use, whether they wanted it to be a constitutional court or a court for the juveniles. But they wanted a premise, an office building, which they could use for a certain particular cause for their dispensation of justice. So the buildings that we looked at were the Comesa Center. This one was valued at about 24 million kwacha. That's the offer. In fact, let me put it that way. It was the offer, $24 million. So as regards motivation, our assessment was that it was fair quality office space, but it was not ideal for judiciary functions because it's situated at a noisy and traffic congested location, and there were no floor elevators for persons with, with challenges. And then we also looked at the price, $24 million. It was rather expensive for the Treasury. Then we also looked at Mukuba Pension House. This one was valued at about, or it was offered for sale at 250 million kwacha. This one, the assessment.
Point of order, Chair. Chair, your question was very specific. We don't need to belabor on all those things that are not of need here. I think for now, Chair, we concentrate on the question itself. What motivated you to buy that particular building, not the Comesa, not all those buildings? That's a bit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mukumbi. Director, can proceed as guided. Tell us why. And that building is still vacant as we speak. I think from the time it was purchased, we are losing. It could be rented, something can be done to it, but it's still vacant. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So the reason that the motivation was because the subject property is of fair quality, spacious offices. It's ideal for judiciary functions. It's in a quiet and, it has got private access. It has car parking space, recreational facilities, and it was deemed affordable for the Treasury in comparison to the other 6 properties that were looked at. So that was the motivation. The reason why it's not yet occupied, I wish to report to the House, this august House, that it has already been allocated to the judiciary, but the upper floor of the building requires some maintenance to the roof. And our sister department, Department of Preventive Maintenance, has reliably informed me that they've engaged Zambia National Service so that those repairs are done to the roof and the property can be occupied. I thank you. Yes, Chair.
Honorable
Chair, I just want to appreciate you purchased a property worth $2.5 million and it still needs to be renovated in the roof. And earlier this same property was, there's a report showing it was valued at 1.5, and later on you're saying it's 2019, and today this building is still vacant. Don't you think, controlling officer, this is wasteful expenditure? Because you've lost over a year. 2.5 billion US dollars is spent to buy a building with a leaking roof. So just put us to speed on this 2.5 million. How is it? The report that you're saying this is for 2019. So within less than a year, the property accrued such market value at the height of COVID-19. How does a property appreciate to that? I don't understand, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Wamunyima. PS, I also want you to answer a question pertaining on the same issue of the valuation report, which was attached earlier. I think your document, your evaluation report, you changed it. Why did you change it? Between 1.5 and 2.5 million. Earlier 1.5, then you change it again to 2.5. Who was fidgeting with that document? Because that's now falsifying information. You can proceed and answer the 2 questions.
Honorable Chair, maybe you may allow me again to pass on the questions to the department that was responsible for that at that particular time, so that they can actually give us highlights on the same.
You can proceed, Director Evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, sir. We are a government department, and the government institutions are privileged to approach us if they want to purchase any building anywhere in our country and even missions abroad. And we're able to give some simulated figure before the final transaction is concluded or entered into. So Ministry of Works and Supply approached our department. Of course, we were under Ministry of Works and Supply to say, you valued this property. That is, they approached us last year, 2021, to say you valued this property in 2019. How much could the property be in 2021? So that's how we looked at the historical data we had over the property, because we valued it in 2019. So in 2021, we looked at the historical data we had for 2019, and we advised the ministry to say, since this property was valued in, it was offered in US dollars, $1.5 million, and if the property has not changed, it has not been demolished, or there's been no substantial change to the property, then our opinion would be that the property would still be $1.5 million. But we did caution the ministry through the controlling officer to say 2 years has passed. Most of the times when a property is sold, 2 years is enough to have the property demolished. So we may, this report of 1.5 million may not be ideal, because if we go on the ground, we may find that there's no property, it's just bare land. So that's how we did that simulated report. It's called a desktop valuation. In our profession as valuation surveyors, we do what are called desktop valuations if we have historical data about a property. And one of the reasons why we even did the desktop valuation is that the property was in private hands. So as government, we couldn't force ourselves into that property to say we want to assess it today. So we did that assimilated report where we advised the controlling officer to say it will still be 1.5, but we insisted we needed to revisit it again because of the 2 years that had elapsed. So the controlling officer contacted the vendor through their agent to grant us permission to go and re-inspect this property. And when we went there, we found that we thought possibly the property had deteriorated so that maybe we can even reduce the price further. But when we went there, we found that the seller had in fact refurbished this property and renovated it. So that is how we reassessed the property at $2.5 million. And that is the figure we put in the report and submitted to the controlling officer so that the property could be purchased at that price. I submit, Chair. I don't know if I've answered all the questions.
Auditor General, you can proceed. You can switch off the mic.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair, if you go to both valuation reports, there's one for 20th April 2021. This report for 20th April 2021 is the one where the ministry, where the director, Mr. Paul Moyo, the senior valuation officer, indicated that the price of 2.5 is excessive and the building was for 1.5. If you go to this opening paragraph, Chair, the committee may take note of the dates. The opening paragraph says, reference is made to your written instructions dated 14th June 2021. The evaluation report is dated 20th April 2021. But this valuation report dated 20th April 2021 is referring to a request of 14th June 2021. If you go to the report which says the value of the building is 2.5 million, the request, the instruction is 28th April. So the instruction for where the report, they are saying it's 2.5 million. The instruction came on 28th April, and on this instruction, the conclusion is they are saying the building is 2.5 million. On a later instruction of 14th June, which said it's 1.5 million, that's the one they are basing. Then also, Chair, there are minutes that were being negotiated. These minutes are dated July. Because if you follow this report and the submission of the controlling office, is that when they did the evaluation for 2.5, the bidding was perfect. That's what it's indicating in here. And the other one, 1.5 million, was at a time in 2019 when it wasn't data on desktop. I don't know what they're explaining. But in July, after the report which shows that the building is valued at 2.5, they went to sit with the vendor or representatives of the vendor. And in this meeting, Chair, the acting director, preventive maintenance, further explained that the ministry had done some assessment of the costing of the false roof at the said building, and it would require about 954,390 to complete. She further requested that the said amount be discounted from the 2.5 million. So already, Chair, you can see that this 2.5 million still had the questions, because they still asked to say actually there is a cost of 954,000 that we need to repair the roof. I submit, Chair.
PS, you can see the inconsistency in your report. To that effect, that's why I asked that question, which needs so many answers. I think Auditor General has just clarified. How do we proceed to go and evaluate a property and say they are done renovations, now we can buy it at 2.5 when the roof still had issues?
Chairperson, I think I will still refer that issue to government valuation, because the departments, the government valuation department was actually dealing with a controlling officer at that time, and I think the advice was being given to the controlling officer at that time. So that's why I thought maybe he could indicate or provide more information.
Thank you. Honorable Mfarari, before the director evaluations come in.
Just for our knowledge here, who was the permanent secretary at the time of this transaction? May we know who was the permanent secretary at the time of transaction? And also, why this 954,000 was not deducted from the 2.5, since these were the agreed positions to deduct 954,000 for the repair of the roof. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mukombe.
Yeah, Chair, just in addition, renovations can be a wide term. I don't know whether you're looking at somebody just painted the building without touching the roof, or the whole premises or the whole building was renovated. And if it was renovated in full, why is it still leaking? So we need to find out what type of renovation you're talking about here. Maybe they just painted the building and you are calling that renovations. Chair, submit.
Thank you. Director Infrastructure, evaluation can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, sir. As regards the value, first, I don't know if we've responded who was the PS at the time. Okay. So the value of the property, that in fact, that 2.5 million was the offer that was made by the seller. Because when he was disposing that property, he made an offer to Minister of Works and Supply at the time. So our role as Government Valuation Department was to assess whether it was reasonable or not. And the way we do the assessment, it's not cost evaluation that we do, it's market value. So when a property in a given state of repair is offered for sale on the market, the role of valuation is to determine how much does it compete or compare with other properties, and therefore how much can it fetch. And afterwards, if a property, the same property is renovated or some improvements have been done to it, we don't do cost valuation to say because they have spent maybe 1,000 kwacha to repair or 2,000 kwacha, then that's the amount we are going to attach or to put over and above the value that the property had. In valuation, what we will do is we will look at when a property is repaired, how much can it fetch if it is offered on the open market.
Direct valuation, you're not answering the answer. I know you're not answering the question, because what you are simply, you can switch off the mic. What you are simply now telling us is how Valuation is done. Now you are taking us to the classroom. We've asked a simple question to say, when you went to assess, you were looking at the market value. Yes, we are looking at market value with a dysfunctional roof. So we are saying, okay, this place being in Kablonga, but the roof is leaking, the what is, how much can it fetch? What is the market value? Because when a person comes to look at that, they say, the roof, okay, the property is okay, the location, but the roof is not good, the balcony is not what, the what, okay, so those are some of the technicalities you take into consideration. So we're saying, you are advising government and looking at all those issues. Why did you go ahead, and you are an expert and you need to help the government, but in this instance you've seen the inconsistency in your desktop valuation, what the mix up in the dates, 2019, 2021 when the offer was done, the valuation, so there are all those mix up in dates which is emanating from your department. In essence, we're saying there is an element of inconsistency in the way your department conducted itself. Why? Because one, even you're saying Minister of Justice or Judiciary, they are not occupying the aforesaid building because they're saying there's attention is needed to be done to the first roof. And as we speak, we are losing value for money, and that building is getting worse and worse by the end of the day. So why? What was the motivation for you to proceed like that? That is the question. Not how evaluation is done, cost, what. No, we just want to know why did your department conduct itself like that? Because in short, I think you misled the ministry somehow in terms of the value of the aforesaid property. Honorable Wamnyima.
Chair, and it is clear here there was guidance and the value was excessive. You in 2020 and 2021, you are submitting, we could not collect revenue because of COVID-19, but in the same breath the value of this property was going up. How? And the renovations to a property that leave it with a leaking roof can drive it from 1.5 to 2.5. The property's value rose by $1 million. What informed such? Because you are not even explaining here in your submission or to the auditors how this valuation report of 1.5 jumped to 2.5 million. There's no proper explanation here. And today you've submitted the same property has not been occupied for 1 year. It's got a leaking roof. Which money was wasted to buy it for 2.5 million? So, Chair, can they be clear how they arrived to this 2.5 million? Because as it stands based on their submission, there is nothing that informs why this property should jump such value. There is nothing. During the same period under review, I was dealing with properties, and properties value was going down. That is why you saw retail chains, Edgar's and so forth shut down. The malls were empty. But a building like this with a leaking roof, the value was going down. What informed this acceptance to waste $2.5 million? It's wasted because it's not being occupied. It's a white elephant. So explain to us what informed this decision.
Thank you. And also tell us who paid the property transfer tax to this aforesaid property. Honorable Farare.
Further, Chair, you are saying there were renovations on the building, and could you just indicate to us if you have the works that were done on the same building that made you believe that actually let's proceed to 2.5, because that's what you are saying, that the few works that were done or some renovations that were done actually informed you that no, we can proceed and buy this building at 2.5. If I got you correctly when you were explaining, Director, could we have certificates or documentation in relation to that renovation that you are talking about. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. I think through the PS Director can proceed as guided, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, sir. The information that guided us is largely technical, which I'm being advised not to go into. Evaluation is certainly a technical. It's difficult to explain it in an English manner, but and that's why even in the submission, as you have rightly mentioned, we didn't go into details because it means we're going to start being technical in this report. What I can say, Mr. Chairperson, is yes, the 2.5 million which was offered, we assessed it as being reasonable because of the data that we had and the status of the property at the time we inspected it in 2021. Indeed, in 2019, even the valuation reports that we have, the photos are there as evidence to show that this is how the property was in 2019, and in 2021, this is how the property was looking at, and that's how we reassessed it upwards. The explanation is in the technical details, which have equally not been. But to answer the question of the repairs, indeed, the subcommittee we sat.
Yeah. Yes. I think the director is misleading himself. If we attend to technical documents here, no matter how detailed it might be, at least someone will interpret it. So the issue of you saying it was technical and we are not going to understand it here is neither here nor there. We have technical people here. This whole house is full of technical people. So I think what you just needed was to do a proper explanation. And we can even understand it, even when you say it here. In your language, whether it's whatever, we can still understand what you are saying. I think the issue of saying it's technical and you could not explain, it doesn't hold water. So I think we need that report. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. And before Honorable Mnyuma comes in, maybe to help you, Director, in 2019, what was the offer for the building? Not your report, but the offer. What offer were you given? Before you proceed, Honorable, you can now proceed and ask your question.
Chair, there is nothing technical we are talking about. What you are saying here, what you are saying is that at a time when properties were listed on demand, this property gained value by $1 million. That is what you are saying. And as a committee, we are laboring to understand because there is an initial evaluation that was done of 1.5, which is correct. And this building has a leaking roof today. So you must provide before this committee what justified this property to gain value of $1 million at a time when the properties were going down. So where on earth all these properties rented in dollars, they were cutting the price by half. But you, an empty building with a leaking roof, gained value by $1 million. And you spent $2.5 million. You must provide proof. What renovation? Did you put gold windows? Why is this rising from $1.5 million to $2.5 million? There's nothing technical about this. Just provide a report that shows what was put in this building for you to depart from evaluation report of 1.5 and purchase it for 2.5 and keep it as a souvenir because it has a leaking roof. Can you explain? Don't tell us about technical. We deal with properties. There's nothing technical here. You can explain. He's put bronze windows, he's put a new floor. Where's the report? What informed you to say this is a market price? Which market were you looking at?
Thank you. Through the PS, acting PS, Director Evaluation can proceed and answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, sir. The offer price in 2019 was $2.5 million, which we rejected and dropped it to $1.5 million. And at that time, government did not proceed to buy the property. It was offered at the same price 2 years later, $2.5 million, because the offer price in US dollars is a hedge. You can have the price pegged at the same price for several years. What will be changing will be the kwacha equivalent. So even in this instance, in both 2019 and 2021, the property was offered at $2.5 million. Then for the repair costs, indeed, the committee, procurement committee, constituted a subcommittee to look at the cost and negotiate with the seller. When that negotiation took place, the seller refused to reduce the price, to say that $2.5 million he was offering was on as his basis. So it was up to us to accept or not to accept. So that is what transpired at the subcommittee level, and the matter was referred back to the main committee, procurement committee.
What is surprising, you can switch off the mic, is that apparently your evaluation report was matching to the offer and no deviation whatsoever. The offer is 2.5, the evaluation report is 2.5. I find it very, 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 it's something else, because with due respect, you can switch off your mic. I think you haven't done justice to the question, direct evaluation, even the question which Honorable Wamnyima asked you, because property prices were dropping. But I don't know why you insisted with your report that a property which was valued 2 years ago at 1.5 could gain value with a leaking roof of almost twice the price. I think that's misleading, very misleading. Even with whatever technical know-how you are telling us, I think they cannot be bought by this committee. It's not right. I think there's a lot of inconsistencies on this aforesaid purchase. So, honorable members, is there any questions, or we can take position on this item and proceed? Yes, Director, I have another submission.
Yes, Chairperson, sir. Our actual valuation was $2.6 million. So what we do, the role we play when a property is offered to government is to assess the reasonableness. And usually what we do, if our assessment is high, but the vendor's price is low, we advise government to buy at that low price. In effect, our valuation assessment was $2.6 million. But because the vendor offered it at 2.5, that's the 2.5 million we recommended to government. I submit.
But Chair, what changed then? What was done to this particular property, the value of 1 million? Maybe we begin from maybe we begin from there. He hasn't answered that question, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mfarari.
I think that's what we are battling with here. We want to understand what informed you to move from 1.5, which was your earlier position 2 years ago, if we may say, to 2.6. Now you are saying the value is 2.6, so you valued it at 2.6. The fallback was because it's being offered at 25 to 2,500. You had to fall for 2,500,000. But you had valued the same property at 1.5. And that's what we are battling with here. We want to understand this almost double the amount, as the chair is putting it, almost double the amount. What informed the rise to that price to go to 2.5 or 2.6? Because you valued it at 1.5, you went back and you found renovations, then you are now telling this committee that you actually valued it at 2.6.
More actually.
You know? 2.6. And in your negotiations, the minutes are clear. In your negotiations, the minutes are clear. You needed to negotiate and ensure that $954,000 is knocked out. Those are your negotiations in your boardrooms. You are negotiating that with this kind of roof, we need to negotiate. I think those are we are failing to understand, controlling officer. Really, we are failing to understand what informed your valuation to go up to 2.6 2 years later, even when properties were going down. That's the question which is at hand here. may the controlling officer respond and give us a concrete answer on why they went to $2.5 million and failed even to, they forgot even what they negotiated or what they discussed in their board meeting or in their committee rooms. Where the subcommittee or whatever committee, they said 954,000 was an evaluation, I think that came from you, that this roof will cost $954,000 to repair. But again, now you run away from your own evaluation of the roof, that this roof to repair, it will cost us over $900,000. So we want to know, the committee is interested in knowing how you moved from 1.5 to 2.6 million. In the presence of you agreeing as a committee somewhere that $954,000 should be knocked out.
Kwacha,
This is
Kwacha.
This is the Kwacha, yeah.
Yes.
Kwacha, 954,000 Kwacha should be knocked out. Close to $1 million should be knocked out to ensure that the roof is repaired. So all those things are not adding up for the committee. Something is wrong here, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mfarari. Then PS also, why did you pay the aforesaid vendor in full? You did not deduct the property transfer tax, which was supposed to be paid by the seller. As you were advised by Secretary to Treasury, why did you pay in full? As if that is not enough, you even give them the full payment. I think that is for you, PS. The rest can be handled by your direct evaluation. You can proceed.
Maybe I can ask the direct evaluation to start with, then I will be able to comment. Evaluation.
Thank you, PS. The issue of the 951,000, that was a committee. I believe PS should answer. It wasn't solely a responsibility for the department. But what I can say is that when we revalued the property from 1.5 to 2.5 million, the scenario is not like we had already bought the property or we had already engaged in a transaction with the vendor. The property was in our hands and we asked him to do those renovations. Because there are two scenarios. If the property is in your hands and you want someone to do the repairs, that is when you do a cost valuation. But in this instance, the property was not yet in our hands. It was still in the hands of the seller. So the seller had the right to peg it at whatever price that he wanted. Our role was to assess whether that amount was reasonable or not. So that's how we did the assessment. The audit question was they did not adhere to GVD recommendation. That's why we didn't bring in the $2.6 million. Otherwise, we assessed it at $2.6 million. Then when we looked at the offer price of 2.5, we advised government to buy at 2.5. So it was within the seller's right, because the property was still in his custody. So he had the right to peg it at whatever price he needed. It was now asked to assess whether it was reasonable or not, depending on the condition of the property. Thank you.
Question was simple. What was? Chair.
The one, yeah, the one who was chairing the same meeting, right?
Yes, Chair, it's true.
But why are you saying the PS should answer?
Because the matter, I reported back to the PS to say this is what has transpired, so it was up to the main committee to decide whether to take up the matter that way or not. But at the subcommittee, indeed, we sat with the vendor and they said they were not giving any discount. It was take it or leave it. That's how the meeting ended at subcommittee. And I submitted as such to the procurement committee for the ministry. Thank you.
PS, you can proceed and...
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. What I know and what I was informed is that the bid that was offered by the seller was on net of taxes, and I think I can refer this to the head procurement who actually was dealing with this issue at the time. That's what I was actually informed, that the bid was net of taxes. So maybe the head of procurement can...
can proceed and answer that question.
Bothering me here. On the, this is the Auditor General's report, and why were you are talking of another evaluation where you evaluated this property at 2.6? Why didn't you avail that to the Auditor General's office at the time of?
The time, sorry, Mr. Chairperson, sir. The question was they did not, why the ministry did not adhere to government, the advice that government valuation department offered. So we submitted the guidance that we offered, which was 2.5 million. But the report for $2.6 million is also there. It can be availed to the committee.
Head procurement, we can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of net tax, Chair, when we were approached by... Okay, Chair. When we were approached by the PS's office to procure this building, we had an offer of 2.5 net of taxes, of which we submitted, Chair, to an evaluation committee. An evaluation committee recommended for the same award, and we proceeded to award to the Chair, to the main committee, which approved. However, before we could pay that, we wrote to Ministry of Finance on the same issue, on the tax issues, and in their area response, Chair, they advised that the Ministry of Works and Supply, being a government institution, was not supposed to pay PPT. But that property being a commercial property, we were supposed to include 16%. And based on that, Chair, we went back to the committee to include 16% of 2.5 being the tax required. However, when we wrote back to the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Finance, through the same office, which is Secretary to the Treasury, advised that both taxes should be paid. And Chair, that was later, after the contract had been executed. I submit, Chair.
AG's office, any comment? I think the committee is at sea.
Chair, I think we just take a position. There's no, we'll not get the answers because it's left, east, west, north, no clarity at all.
Thank you. I want Auditor General first to comment, then I'll proceed.
Chair, first and foremost, I think through you, Chair, would want, because if we look again at these two reports, even the one that the director keeps referring to, say it was 2019, that the report is here. Probably he can assist the committee which page shows that the report was done in 2019, because the report is very clear. If you go to the last page, it says date of valuation is the 20th, even 20th April. So when he's saying he did it in 2019, and in 2019, because these two reports, it's just a difference of 8 days. One is 1.5 on 20th April. The next one is 2.5 on 28th April. So since this is a report and is submitting that the valuation was done in 2019, probably we have not seen it. He can guide the committee to say, because if you read, it is showing the date when he prepared the report. If you go to, if you go to the report by the seller, Pam Godding, it's May. It's clear. Date of valuation, 3rd May 2021. This is date of valuation 3rd May by the seller. And these both reports, the government did the valuation earlier than the seller. So the seller's valuation is in May. The government's valuation reports are in April. But the one that is referring to this one for 20th April, the director is saying this was done in 2019. he can guide the committee which page shows that it was done in 2019. Because if you read the report, it says it was done, the date of valuation is 20th April 2021. The next report, the date of valuation is 28th April, 8 days later, 2021. So also him to submit that he was on the 1.5, he was using information for 2019. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, AG's office. Direct evaluation, you have a different submission.
No, sir, I'm agreeing with the auditor. We did evaluations assessment area at $2.6 million. And it was after our assessment that we asked the vendor also to get a professional assessment. That is how they produced that report. He has shown to the committee showing $2.5 million.
Mr. Director, we are looking at what is here, what you provided also for them to go through.
Yes.
Because we are saying, show us in this report where it's stipulating that is 2019. There's nothing.
I was coming to that, Chairperson, sir. There's nothing. That's why I said I'm agreeing with him. Both reports were done in 2021, but one of them was based on information for 2019. That is why we advised.
But where does it stipulate that it was based on that? Because that is now your oral submission. We need, here we don't deal with, you can switch off your mic, we don't deal with speculations, direct evaluation, we deal with facts. So you show us, you tell us a fact, this is a document, this is my first offer, this is my second offer, this is my third offer, this is why I arrived at this. But minus that, that is hearsay, and you are just telling us what is in your head and not what is the actual information. So, honorable members, is there any more questions to that effect? I think we need to wind up this meeting.
Chair, I think we just need to wind up because, you know, even me in this submission, I was looking for that 2019 valuation. It's not there, so it's short. This property gained this value in 8 days from 1.5 million to 2.5. That's what it means. And 1 year you have not secured title deeds for the same property.
I can respond to.
No, we are not responding to that one because we are not getting, we're just going around circles. So, PS, you still got outstanding issues, paragraph 33, to that effect, issue of this building. I think this is not conclusive. Whatever which is being claimed, we want documentation to that effect. The first offer, the whatever second offer, and what direct evaluation is alluding to, want facts provided. And this particular item should be verified by the Auditor General to see to it that justice is done and we conclude it amicably. The rest of the issues, I think we do recommend that you work on them. And also, like you've already said, some of them are going to various departments under different ministries. And also we want to ensure that even as you conclude your business, those are done accordingly in an accountable way to that effect, because even as other ministries will proceed to come and appear before this honorable committee, all these issues will come up under outstanding issues because they are not going out of the report until you action them, work on them, do mitigation measures, and also if that information is provided to the Auditor General, then once verification, then it's only this honorable committee which can take out those queries from the report. So let me thank you most sincerely for appearing before this committee, Acting PS and your team. However, with those things mentioned, I think it's important that you work on them. On non-tax revenue, there are a lot of issues. I think we summarized some of these issues, but if we followed item by item, I think we're still going to be deliberating before in this committee. So let me just highlight to you that those things should be worked on moving forward. Thank you so much, and let me now take this opportunity to lift the immunity which was conferred before you and your team. That is now lifted. Whatever you speak now, you're at your own. You're on your own. Thank you so much. You are dismissed, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Before you dissolve, there's an issue I need to ask you. I think I was asked by my constituents yesterday. I'll ask you outside.